Hey, you're tuning in, and thanks for joining us. If you need the quick rundown on the big event shaking things up, you're in the right place.
Definitely. We're talking about former President Joseph Kabila showing up in Goma.
Yeah, suddenly. And man, has this thing stirred up a hornet's nest, right? A lot of talk.
You got it.
Yeah.
It's not just like a casual visit. We're seeing local news going wild, videos popping up from people actually there. It's a real mix of info and honestly a ton of questions.
Absolutely. So for you listening, we're going to try and cut through all that noise. We'll dig into what we actually know for sure about Kabila being in Goma, how people there and back here in Kinshasa are reacting.
Right.
And kind of what it all might mean without getting totally lost in every single rumor floating around.
Okay, so let's start with the facts, what we can confirm. Multiple credible sources, RFI, actualite.cd, they've all confirmed it. Joseph Kabila arrived in Goma.
When was this exactly?
Friday.
Yeah.
Friday, April 18th, 2025. That's the date we have.
Okay, Friday. Now, here's a detail that kind of makes you pause a bit. The reporting says he apparently traveled through Kigali, Rwanda, before getting to Goma.
Yeah.
What do you make of that route? That's interesting.
It certainly raises eyebrows, doesn't it, given the history and the current situation.
Exactly.
And the arrival itself seems like it was meant to be pretty quiet, understated. Media reports say he came in via the Grand Barrière.
The main border crossing with Kigali and Rwanda.
That's the one, yeah. Very discreetly, no big welcoming party, no immediate press statements, nothing like that.
Okay, discreet. But then you see this video, I think it was from Celeb TV.
I saw that one.
And it shows people in Goma giving him what they're calling a warm welcome. It feels, I don't know, quite different from the cautious, uncertain tone in the formal news reports.
Yeah, that's a really crucial point. How do you square those two, right?
Right.
Because of the news articles, they definitely highlight that folks in Goma, well, they have very mixed feelings. Some might see him coming back as maybe a chance for change, hope, perhaps.
Okay.
But then others are, pretty fearful it could just make the security situation even worse, which is already, let's be honest, incredibly volatile in the East.
And that fear, it connects back to President Tshisekedi's past accusations, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Linking Kabila to the AFC M23 rebellion.
Exactly. That whole complex web involving the Allied Democratic Forces and the M23 movement, it looms large over this.
So the immediate questions just jump out, like, where is he now? Is he still in Goma? Did he just pass through and go back to Rwanda? And the big one, why now? What's the motivation for this sudden move? He hasn't exactly been spending a lot of time there recently.
That's right. Very quiet for a long time. Now, his people, his entourage, they are saying he's planning to put out some kind of message, a message to the nation soon. Possibly from Goma, maybe even from Rwanda, they're suggesting, giving his perspective on, the state of the country.
Okay, so we wait for that. But this kind of echoes what he said back on April 8th. Right?
It does. In that declaration, he talked about the degradation of the security situation. That was one reason. And also the deliquescence of state institutions. Basically, things falling apart.
Deliquescence. Yeah, meaning like a breakdown or decay in how the government's working.
Precisely. A strong term.
And his political allies, they're really going on the offensive with this, aren't they? Using some heavy language.
Oh, yeah. They're throwing around terms like institutional coup d'etat.
Wow.
Pointing back to the shift in the parliamentary majority in 2020, the elections they contested.
Right.
And they're even talking about a constitutional coup d'etat, alleging Tshisekedi plans to mess with the Constitution.
That is some seriously charged rhetoric.
It absolutely is. But, to add another layer of confusion, we also have reports from within Kabila's inner circle saying something, well, quite different.
Like what?
They're claiming he doesn't intend to, settle down in Goma or even stay in the East for very long.
Okay.
They're insisting, quite strongly apparently, that he's not there as a fighter, not as a rebel leader. They say the visit is mainly for meeting local figures, engaging people on the ground.
So we're getting these completely conflicting signals about what he's actually up to. Political attacks on one side, claims of just meetings on the other.
Exactly. It's murky.
And meanwhile, while all this is unfolding over in Goma, things are also heating up for Kabila closer to home, right? Here in Kinshasa.
Yes, definitely. We've seen reports starting Tuesday about searches, civil and military intelligence services searching his property in Lamate.
Right, in Kinshasa. And his wife, Marie-Olive Lembe, she reacted very strongly.
She did. She publicly denounced it, called it straight up pillage.
Pillage?
Yeah. She specifically mentioned things being taken: generators, solar panels, even vehicles, and she pointedly asked, you said you were looking for weapons. Where are they?
And it's interesting because there seems to be some official confirmation, a report from military justice.
That's right. A seizure report came out confirming they confiscated vehicles, batteries, generators, and solar equipment found, apparently, with his accountant and caretaker.
So there's some factual basis there for her claims about what was actually taken.
Seems so. But what's perhaps just as telling here, maybe even more so,
What's that?
is the silence. The complete lack of official reaction from the government.
To Kabila being in Goma.
To that and to his wife's very public accusations of pillaging. Just nothing.
Crickets. Yeah, that lack of comment, it speaks volumes in itself, doesn't it?
It really does. Leaves a lot open to interpretation.
And we should also, keep the wider political context in mind. Kabila's party, the PPRD, they just had their 23rd anniversary, didn't they? And there's been talk about them wanting to revive their activities, get back in the game.
Yeah, there's ambition there. So this reappearance, even if the purpose is unclear, it could fit into some broader strategy for them.
It's certainly a possibility, especially when you add in other recent events, like Jean-Pierre Bemba.
Oh, right.
His recent very serious accusations linking Kabila directly to armed violence. He even promised to show proof.
Yeah, that hasn't materialized yet, but the accusation is hanging out there, a very heavy charge.
And then you have Kabila's own statement from Johannesburg back in March,
where he denied any links to M23.
Exactly. Denied M23 links and called for an endogenous approach, basically a Congolese-led solution to the crisis.
So many moving parts. It's like all these threads are potentially interconnected, part of a much larger, more complex picture.
Okay, so let's try and bring this together for everyone listening. The key takeaway. Kabila's arrival in Goma. It happened. It's confirmed.
Yep, confirmed but discreet.
Very discreet entry into a region largely controlled by the AFC M23 alliance. And it came after that reported stop in Kigali.
Right. And all this is playing out against a really tense backdrop. Serious security worries, rising political heat.
Both on the ground in Goma and back here in Kinshasa with those property searches and the official silence.
And we're seeing these totally contrasting narratives playing out in real time.
Yeah, you've got that video showing a supposed warm welcome. And then you have all the anxiety, the suspicion, the accusations flying around in the news and politics.
And his immediate goals? Still pretty much a mystery, honestly, despite what his team is saying about just wanting meetings.
So here's the big question we want to leave you thinking about is this. What does this sudden, unexpected move by the former president really signal?
Yeah, what does it mean for the fighting in the East? For the overall political stability of the DRC?
What should you be watching most closely as this whole situation keeps developing?
Yeah.
Because it feels like it's far from over.
Absolutely. And it's just so vital to weigh all these different angles we've talked about, the official reports, the videos, the political statements,
Right.
and really try to seek out information from diverse sources to build your own, informed picture of what's going on.
Couldn't agree more. Well, thanks for taking this deep dive with us today. We'll definitely be keeping a close eye on this and be back to break down whatever happens next.